After a day of rest, I left Portumna and began the Hymany Way, on a morning that was windy but warm. The trail followed the River Shannon now, though the river itself seemed shy, slipping in and out of sight behind reeds and hedgerows, like a companion walking just out of reach. For the first time in weeks, there wasn't a hill on the horizon, and my legs, so long accustomed to climbing, seemed unsure what to do with the kindness. The ground was rough in places, hardened cattle tracks baked beneath the sun, but there was always a smoother line if you looked for it. Long distance walking teaches you that there is almost always a gentler path, if you're patient enough to find it. It was along this quiet stretch that I met Thomas, the first walker I'd encountered also walking the route. He was from Germany, planning to complete the entire Ireland Way, though with a pause in Donegal for a music festival. We talked like old friends despite having met only moments before, and when I filled his water bottles, it felt like passing forward a kindness once given to me by a stranger earlier in the journey. That evening, the ancient monastic village of Clonfert became home. A day without hills, a nice change. The following morning began well, with more sunshine, but not long after came the obstacles. Blocked stiles, altered routes, detours that stretched longer than they needed to. With sore feet too, for a while the day wasn't going well. But trails, like moods, can turn without warning. A woodland path appeared, cool and green. Then bogland, soft underfoot. Then a stretch beside an old canal, its quiet water holding the sky. By the time I reached my destination for the day, my spirits had lifted again, and my feet had started to recover. At a local pharmacy, I bought some supports from my ankle, hoping they would help keep me going to the end of the route. This was a day of variety. Roads, back roads, narrow trails, woodland shade, open bog. The changing ground seemed to breathe fresh energy into my legs. Or maybe it was the ankle support doing its quiet work. Either way, the kilometres slipped by more easily than they had in days. A welcome boardwalk crossing sections of bog helped me make great time that morning. I reached Ballygar earlier than planned, ate, rested, and then because the light was good and my feet felt willing, I kept walking. Sometimes the trail decides for you. Fallen trees still littered parts of the route, reminders of the recent storm, but someone had clearly worked hard to keep the way open. By the time I reached the village of Craigs, the day had stretched into one of my longest yet. The local pub owner pointed me towards a good place to pitch my tent. and later that evening I returned for conversation and laughter with locals whose stories kept me entertained for hours. I slept deeply that night, the kind of sleep earned only by distance. The morning began gently through beautiful bogland, sunlight warming the peat, until I reached a sign announcing a closed route and a new bridge under construction. I could see workers ahead beside what looked suspiciously like a finished bridge, so curiosity pulled me forward. As luck would have it, they'd only just completed it and were packing up. They laughed at the timing, a lone walker appearing at the exact moment the bridge was ready, and I became the first person to cross it. For a few shining minutes, I felt like the trail itself had arranged that moment just for me. The magic faded quickly. Beyond the bridge, the path had grown wild and tangled during construction of the bridge. I climbed, ducked, pushed, crawled. Somewhere in that leafy chaos, I lost my hat, my faithful shield against the sun. By the time I reached Glinsk, I was scratched and sweaty and a little sunburnt. I pressed on to Ballymo, hoping for food, only to find the pubs closed, shut down over the years like many others. Tired and hungry, I took a bus to Castlereagh for the night, returning in the morning to pick up the trail again. Day 20 was a hot day. It was a road day. I was glad when Ballinlough finally appeared. I found a washing machine at the local shop, and as it was early, I washed everything. I headed for the local lake to lay my clothes out to dry, but while there, I also found a quiet place to camp. As evening settled in, people came and went. A family who had moved to Ireland from Gaza shared their food with me, something fragrant and unfamiliar and delicious. I never caught the name, but I remember the taste, and more than that, I remember their generosity. I woke inside a cloud of midges, the price of sleeping near still water. Packing quickly, I escaped to the road and walked until the sun burned them away. By the time I reached Ballahadreen, I was ready for food and rest, grateful for both. Today also brought me onto the long Lough Gara Way. The afternoon also brought me close encounters with passing cars, reminders that not every stretch of the journey is on quiet roads. In Monasterraden, I decided to push on towards Moygara Castle, hoping to camp nearby another castle. At the castle, signs warned me away. Evening was closing in, so I kept walking until I found a family willing to let me pitch my tent in their field. From there, I watched the light fade over Lough Gara. Sometimes the best views come after you've almost given up looking.